Hi, happy Saturday. Today we're going to read Creature from No Hope Beyond This Point. And then I only have one story left in this, which is a poem called Gone, which I don't think I'll do next time, but the time after. And then we'll be done with No Hope Beyond This Point, which is kind of sad. At least for me it is. This was the first book that I did when I started writing again. And then after this one, I did cloud art, and then I helped publish a friend's book, which was super awesome. So, yeah. Anyways, so today we're going to read Creature, and let me know what you think of my attempt to do animation at the intro. I thought I did a fairly good job. So, all right, Creature. Creature. Tracy sat on the edge of her bed, huddled in the darkness of her room. Why couldn't her stepmother leave her alone? Every time her father left, her new mother, as he called her, was there with an evil glow in her eyes and a horribly wicked smile plastered on her face. Oh, how Tracy hated the basement. It was so dark down there, and it contained that awful creature. It belonged to her stepmother, Julie, and though she had never seen it, Tracy knew it was always close by, waiting for her mother to give the signal when it would be okay to strike. Lately, the howls had been growing louder and coming closer to the basement door in the kitchen. Her stepmother loved sending her down into the basement to fetch various items. The last time Tracy went, she was halfway up the stairs when she heard the door slam shut. She had just stood there, not sure of what she should do. Eventually, she had slowly crept up the stairs. Standing on the stoop, she had tried the knob. When it wouldn't turn, panic flooded her. She pounded on the door several times before her stepmother opened it. Julie had acted surprised, but Tracy knew she had closed the door on purpose, trapping her down there. There was a loud knock on the door, pulling Tracy out of her memories. The door was flung open, letting the light from the hall flood into her room. "How many times have I told you not to sit in the dark? It's bad for your eyes. Come here," Julie yelled, grabbing the little girl by the arm. She yanked Tracy out of her bedroom, pulling her down the hallway, only stopping when they got into the kitchen. Julie jerked the basement door open and shoved her stepdaughter inside. She shut the door, locked it, and walked away. Tracy sat on the landing at the top of the stairs, curled up by the door. She started to cry. Tears streamed down her face. She wished she could turn on the light, but the pull chain was at the bottom of the staircase. She didn't think it would work anyways. Tracy was sure her stepmother had removed the light bulb. She listened to the sounds beyond the door and to the ones from down below. She didn't hear her mother, but she could hear the sound of something large scuffling along the basement floor. The noise came closer, paused, then moved away. Tracy waited for her eyes to adjust to the dim light. She rubbed her tear-stained face. Her heart hammered in her chest. Once she realized Julie wasn't coming to let her out like last time, Tracy decided she would have to be brave enough to find a light that worked. And if she was lucky, a way out. Julie crept up and listened closely to the sounds behind the basement door. Even though the door muffled noise, she heard the faint whimper of crying earlier. Now she heard nothing. It had been deathly quiet for quite some time. Carefully, she opened the door. She paused in the entranceway and still heard nothing. She clicked on her flashlight and swept it across the stairwell. She didn't see Tracy anywhere. She had expected the girl to still be cowering on the landing, or better yet, dead. Frowning, Julie started down the stairs. She didn't think the deed was done. Near the bottom of the staircase, she saw blood on the steps. A cruel smile curled Julie's lips before she realized that it wasn't enough, which meant the little girl was still alive. Julie moved away from the stairs and began searching the basement. Keeping very still, Tracy watched from the corner she was in. She stayed hidden while her stepmother slowly moved around the cellar, shining her light behind several boxes and under the shelves. Tracy held her cut hand close to her chest. While creeping down the stairs earlier, she had tripped on the last few steps. As Tracy pushed herself back up, a loose nail had pierced her hand. She hadn't cried out at the pain, but a sudden clawing sound forced her to quickly run and hide. Julie hoped she was wrong about the blood. The creature wasn't often messy, but it did leave evidence of its kills. Perhaps it had eaten Tracy without leaving much behind. Julie had to know for sure, so she moved a little further into the cellar, continuing her search. Tracy saw her opportunity for escape. As fast as she could, she dashed past Julie. Her stepmother spun around at the sound of feet pounding on the stairs. She saw the little girl disappear into the kitchen. Before Julie could take more than a step, she heard the basement door slam shut. Tracy locked the door and ran to her room. She slid under her bed and hid, peering out to see if her stepmother had followed her. Julie snarled in frustration and marched towards the staircase. The beam of her flashlight illuminated movement to her side. She turned to see a large, shadowy figure looming out of the dark. She ordered the creature back, but there was unease in her voice. It growled at her, sensing Julie's fear. Dragging its claws along the concrete, the creature shifted closer. Its eyes narrowed and it sniffed the air. Julie took a step back, and it lunged at her. Upstairs, Tracy heard a deep, throaty roar and shut her eyes, scooting further under her bed. A scream rose through the floorboards. Tracy pressed her hands tightly to her ears, hoping that the beast would be satisfied now. The end. So I hope you enjoyed that story. I wrote it several years ago, like most of the stories in No Hope Beyond This Point, and then brought it to my writers group, polished it up, and published it. It was, I don't want to say based on a true story, because it's not. And this was just a story that I wrote, oh man, so many years ago. But it was kind of, it was kind of based on my relationship with one of my dad's girlfriends when I was a kid. Probably about like 7 or 8. She was not mean to me like that. She didn't lock me in the basement. I kind of didn't like her. So yeah, that's kind of where the story came from. It's just, my relationship and angst that her and I had, which didn't help that she was much closer to my age than she was to my dad's. And so we butted heads a lot, and I guess we kind of learned to get along, but it took, I did not like her at first. She was really mean and bossy, and I did not help matters being a very stubborn child. So, but that's where the story kind of initially sparked from. But yeah, don't worry, she wasn't eaten by a monster in real life either, and clearly I wasn't, so, but Julie was. Anyways, I hope you liked the story. Let me know what you thought of my animation at the beginning. It's not something I really know how to do, so I'm learning as I go. I like to experiment, and I'm self-taught, so yeah, give me feedback, I can take it. And then we just have one more story left. It is, like I said, a poem called Gone. I probably won't do that one on my next video, because I'll probably do illustrations from Cloud Art, and then I will finish up No Hope with Gone, probably the video after that. So, alright, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you again in 2 weeks.